Manish Pandey, who joins us right from the newsroom to give us a sense on what angle is the ED probing into. But before that, Amit Bharadwaj is right in front of the National Herald office. Amit, what angle exactly is the ED probing into at this point?
Well, Nabila, yesterday the raid at the Herald House had begun 10 in the morning, and that continued till around 11:45 in the night, which means 16 hours of raid. And certainly they must have been looking into documents that were inside the Herald House, and the result of that, what you see is that the main office of the National Herald has been now sealed by the ED officials, and two separate notices have been put inside the Herald office's main headquarters. On the left hand side is the way path to the National Herald newspaper, which is also sort of a mouthpiece of the Congress party. What needs to be noted here is that when the officials were raiding this yesterday, around 6 in the evening, Mallikarjun Kharge and Pawan Bansal had reached here, and they said there was one line response to the media's n number of questions, and that response was that we were here to look at our office. And after that, Mallikarjun Kharge and Pawan Bansal left the Herald House, but the ED officials continued to stay here. And when they left, today the result we are seeing is that there are two notices which has been put at the entrance of the National Herald headquarters, which reads that nobody can enter the premises without the permission of the ED officials. This probably means, in all possibilities, this means that ED wants to protect the documents which are inside the National Herald's headquarters. They want to protect the sanctity of the documents, and they do not want any individual without the permission of the ED entering the office, because there would be possibilities of tampering with the documents, possibilities of removing documents or making all sorts of changes. So those are the possible causes because of which the National Herald office has been now sealed by the ED officials. And anybody who wants to enter the office, because remember, this is a news organization runs from this organization, from this particular premises. The top floor of the Herald House is where the National Herald's headquarters is located. So journalists, reporters who used to work with the National Herald used to access their office from the top floor itself. And now anybody who wants to enter the office for any reason, to collect their valuables, to collect their documents, to file stories or whatever there is need for, they will have to now seek permission from the ED officials. So in all likelihood, the sealing of the National Herald office on the Bahadur Shah Jafar Road in the national headquarters national capital has been done to avoid any sort of tampering or mishandling of the documents which might be inside the Herald House. Over to you, Nabila.
It's very hard for us to believe at this point that there may be suspicious documentation inside the Young Indian office, because it's been 10 years since this case is being investigated. The IT and now the ED, quite a few years that investigation is on. For them to have kept documents like that, even if they had some at the Young Indian office, certainly is suspicious. I mean, if at all they've kept it, then it's something that the ED wants to look into. But at this point, Congress, of course, coming together in a show of strength. This is the exclusive image that India Today has accessed, where we're seeing all the senior Congress leaders at the AICC office who have gathered only to try and discuss and deliberate on what next. Remember, after the ED has got great powers now to arrest, summon and attach properties, of course, the timing of this push for the ED by the Supreme Court comes as a question, as the Gandhi family is being probed at this point. So is it very likely or possible that the Gandhis will be arrested? Could their properties be attached? Could they be summoned many more times? That remains to be seen. But the Congress leaders now, we're looking at all the senior leaders, including Mallikarjun Kharge, Salman Khurshid, Jairam Ramesh, all of the senior leaders who've come together. Let me cut across to Shreya Chatterjee, who's right there at the AICC office outside where this meeting is currently underway. Shreya, who are these people in the photograph that we see? Do confirm to us yet again. And what is this deliberation that's currently on?
Well, all the Congress senior leaders as well as the Congress members and office bearers. They are all here right now at the AICC headquarters. Shortly from now, we'll also see official press conference that will be held by Jairam Ramesh and Abhishek Manu Singhvi on the entire incident that has transpired. What happened today? One, we do know that the Young India Private Limited office in the Herald House that has been sealed by the ED. Subsequently, we saw there was heavy security deployment outside 10 Janpath and AICC. What we do know that we saw senior leaders like Jairam Ramesh call this security deployment out, saying this has become a routine habit of the Delhi police to clamp down and put heavy security outside the AICC. Now, shortly, we will see an official statement being made by the Congress. We've already heard senior leaders from the likes of Mallikarjun Kharge, who's denied the source-based charges that's coming from the ED, because ED sources say it's because of the principal officer Mallikarjun Kharge not being present is why the Young India Private Limited office couldn't be raided and subsequently was sealed today. Mallikarjun Kharge has denied that charge. We'll now have to wait and watch what the Congress has to say on that entire incident that has transpired. But so far, Congress is calling this as an act of vengeance, that the centre is misusing the ED and the central agencies as a tool. We also heard Pramod Tiwari calling it a tanashahi by the central government. And now, very shortly, both Jairam Ramesh and Abhishek Manu Singhvi will be addressing a press conference at the AICC headquarters. And you can see the kind of gathering at the AICC headquarters. Already people have started coming in, from senior leaders to supporters. They're all pouring in at the AICC headquarters. It'll only be clear what the Congress has to say shortly, when probably even the supporters will get a clear message from the AICC headquarters.
All right, as Shreya, like you said, the Congress party now all set to address a press conference in about a few minutes, where all the key Congress leaders, along with Jairam Ramesh, Digvijay Singh, Salman Khurshid, Mallikarjun Kharge, Chidambaram, these are the leaders who we just saw in those images, who've huddled up, trying to deliberate on what next. They're going to be addressing a press conference. One can only expect what's going to be said. Right from the start to now, they've maintained that this is vendetta politics and they're being targeted. The Gandhi family, they're trying to break their spirit. That won't happen. The Congress stands by them.